Welcome to the ESA 632 axis CNC graphical controller tutorial. Today we'll be showing you how to draw some punches and dies for some quick versions, and you can also do a more detailed version. You'll need this when changing out various tools, adding new tools on your machine. It's always best to look at actual diagrams, drawings from your tool maker. Get them as detailed as possible. Every angle, every line, every radius. The more information you have, the more detailed you can make the tool. And also, after you get the drawings, you actually have to take your real tools that you've received and take a caliper and measure those and double check, because there might be some discrepancies between the drawing and what you actually have received. Maybe a few thousandths here or there, but that can obviously make a difference in the bend degrees. We're going to start with the punch. So basically, if you were in the main page on the editor or somewhere else around there, you could go over to this icon right here, and you'll see it's like a punch and die icon. You can hit it once and the dies come up, and you can hit it again and the punches come up. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. You could always just do something fast and quick. The machine has some different types in it that are going to kind of be European style. There is no pre-formatted American style looking punch in the pre-formats, but that won't matter necessarily if you want to just do a quick draw. So if you want to just do a quick draw, you can just pick a type, like type 1. It's going to ask you for the total height. So that's from the tip of the punch all the way to the very, very top of where the tab or tang would go into the holder. So in this case, you could put something like 5.75. And then for your reference height, that's going to be from the shoulder down to the tip. So that might be 5 inches. And you hit OK, and it'll kind of give you this European looking tool, which doesn't really matter if you have Euro or American, it'll still work the same. The main lines you just want to put in for a quick draw is you want to put your angle. So maybe that's 86 degrees. And the next thing you really want to put in is just go all the way down to the bottom here where it asks you for the radius. So that might be maybe like 0.090. Get that in there. Oops. And then you want the load. So how many tons per foot is your punch rated for? Very important to know. This one might be like 20 tons. So basically, that's all you would need to get this in quickly. The rest of these dimensions, you would have to have all that exact from your drawing, but if you're doing a quick draw like this, it's really not necessary. So if you like what you have, then you can just save it. Go over here to the thing here, to this like floppy looking icon, and you can save it and call it whatever you want. Test 77, oops. Test 77777777. Okay, so there you have it. You hit OK. Now it's in there. If you go back to your list, you'll see it's right there. You could always call it up. And then down here, if you're actually in a program, you could go and insert it into the program, and now you'd have that particular one in there. Okay? We're not going to save that because obviously it's something I just made up. So we're going to delete that right there, hit OK, and there it goes. The next thing we can do is we can actually draw it for real. So if you want to draw something that actually you want your tool to look just like the punch that's in the machine, you can draw that as long as you have a good amount of the information that you're going to need. So once again, go back to your total height, your reference height of 5, and then you get a screen that kind of looks like this. So the first thing you're going to want to do is follow along and put an angle in, a length at this first angle, which will populate right down here. So that's look like that. Then it's going to want to know the angle of the punch. This one is an 82 degree. The S we don't have to worry about because that's talking about a reference point here that we're going to draw around it, so we don't need to fill the S in. So we're going to bypass it with the arrows up here. The radius we need to know, and of course the load, how many tons per foot. So we're going to put all that in there, and it's going to kind of start to give us what our tool would look like. Going on from there, now you're just going to start building it. So you're going to go to your next drawing line, which would be the angle going up here. You can put that one in, and then you can ask you for an angle. If you know the angle, you can use the arrows to put it in. If it's a obscure angle, or something that's not just 90s, negatives, 135s, etc., you'll have to type it in. So you hit that icon over there, and you can type in, the angle that you want. Kind of give you something like that. And then you'd put in your next line. It's a little bit of a just a short piece right there. Then you're going to put your next angle in. If you make a mistake, just go back and then put it in again. And then you're just going to keep building on it as you build the part up and up and up. So you'll just keep going on. Obviously, if it gets too big, you can use the screen right here to minimize it. And you're going to keep going all the way up and around until you've made the entire part. When you get to your very last piece, before you reach the other side, you're going to hit the close the drawing. So for the sake of time, because this does take a while to program, I already made one, and I'll just kind of show you what that looked like completed. So we'll just get out of here, go over here, come back to that punch, and it looks like that. So once again, as you could scroll through the arrows, and you'll see the different numbers highlight on the right hand side as you build, and you follow the red lines and you build the punch up, and you just keep adding angle length as you go all the way around based on your drawing. So you'll see as we went through and we keep building the lines, and we got this American style heavy duty punch for doing 3/16 and 1/4 inch with a safety tang on it, which was drawn into the part. As you hit each arrow, it'll tell you all the dimensions that we used to get to that part all the way around. And when you get down to this last line right here where you see it's red, at that point when you highlight that, you would just put your number in at the 4.204, which was the last line here, and you'll hit close drawing, and then it'll actually put in the last angle for you and close it up completely so that you have a fully completed punch. Then when you're done with that, the same thing, you'd hit the floppy, you'd save it and put it back into your library, and then when you're making your part, you can select that particular punch. You can do the same thing when you're working with dies. If you want to work with dies, you can do a quick die. You can just select new die here. Once again, you can put in, your, oops. You can put in your heights and widths. Do something like that. Actually, that's the wrong one. It should be that, like that. Now on this quick die, you don't have to necessarily worry about this down at the bottom. You just need to really know the height of what you're working with from the bottom of the die. If you have a die holder, you need to include that in the total height. So from the tabletop, the die holder, and the actual die fitting in it, you need all that total height. If you're doing a square die, then you just need from the top of the table to the top of the flat spot on the square. You don't have to worry about entering in this little kind of bottom shape there. It doesn't really matter. What's most important is just getting the height, and then you want to get your angle, which might be 86 degrees. And then you want to kind of get you need the length of what the V die opening is. So maybe it's a 0.75 V. Whoops, that's too big for this piece. So something like a 1/2 inch V, and then you would need from the center of the V to the front of the part what that might be. So something like 400, and that would kind of give you a quick V down there. The L1, H1, all that has to do with this bottom part. You don't need any of that. Once again, you want to put the radius in though. The radius is going to be at the top right here where that is. So for that, you might be on a die this small, maybe like 0.39 or something like that. And the load, how many tons per foot. So that's a way you can kind of just draw up a very quick die if you just need to throw something in. I recommend drawing them completely to get more accuracy based off of actual drawings rather than just throwing in quick ones. If you're doing like a square die or if you're doing a multi-way V die, you have to draw it in. It's not something you can really just put in unless you want to do the individual V's for each one, but it's a lot better to draw them in. So in this case, you can hit the floppy and save that if you wanted to, but we're not going to. We're going to get out of that. We're going to go back to the die here, and we're going to hit new drawing, and we'll put in something, a little bit different. Kind of like a multi-way V die, and it would be the same thing as doing the punch. So for the punch, the same thing. You're going to need to have all the lengths, all the segments, and the angles of your V's and things like that in order to get an accurate one done. So you would start out whatever the length is at the front up there, might be 0.75, and then the angle. What you're going to do when you get to the angle right here is you're going to go down here and insert the V die. So you're going to hit an insert, it's going to put that in for you. Now you'll notice as you add V's, it'll start numbering them, and then when you go to your column list to insert them for future jobs, you'll have those different numbers already lined up there. So in this case, it's already asking you, we inserted the V, now it's going to ask you the angle, so maybe it's 86 degrees, and we'll put that there, and it's going to ask you the next thing, it's just going to ask you for the length, so we're going to put that in. The radius, oops. And then the load is 30 per foot. Now it's going to start building out the same thing to the next one. So now we have to put the space between the next set of V's. So maybe that's going to be 1 inch. And then we're going to insert a new V. So you see it, put it over there, and we're back to the same thing again. It wants to know the degree, the length of that V, the radius, and then the load, and so on and so forth, and then we're going to build it out again. And then when you get to the end like this, you're going to take the angle, you're going to want to kind of go down and follow it down. So you'll build your dies, and as you see, it's done, you know, number 1 and number 2 and the same way. So once again, because it takes a while to do all this, I've already pre-made one, and I'll show that to you, what that looks like complete. So you'll see right here, we've already built a 6-way die out, and we've entered in all the numbers off the actual drawings. And as you cycle through the arrows, you can actually see everything as it moves around. And as all the lines are highlighted, you'll see the different things that light up and what it's asking you to fill in the increments of. So basically, it's just going to be lengths between the dies. You're going to insert your V's, put in the V openings, and then the length between the next one. And then when you get to edges and when you get to corners on the multi-way, you need to hit the angle and start changing the direction so it knows to go the other way. So that's basically how you draw punches and dies on the ESA 630 2-axis CNC machine graphic controller. And of course, once you're done with all those and you've saved everything and you're back into a program, you can go over here and you can pick one. Oops. So you would go over here to this, and then you come down and see you have, the various ones you could pick for the different openings. In this case, we have the 2 inches standing up, and you would hit insert, and it would put it back in there. And then the same thing with the punch. You'd go back in here and hit the punch, insert it, or in this case, this particular punch is already in the machine. That's the one we would use, and that's what you would use to set your program with. So the most important thing to remember is after you've done all this and you make a program, you need to go to the machine and run a program, but in the semi-automatic mode, and check the clearances and make sure that when the punch comes down into the die that you have proper air bending clearances for the part that you're making. This concludes the video for right now. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to Sierra Victor Industries, 386-304-3720, or visit our website at www.sierravictor.com. Thank you.